My name is Li Pei Hui. My metric number is 261931. Today I will presenting financial risk management and credit risk of PDZ Holding Berhad. First, I will talk about issue and the problem. From the annual report, I found that the company was facing the loss from 2015 to 2018 due to the trend of credit risk because of a failure of collect payment from the borrower will affect the profitability and also the liquidity of the company, and as a result will difficult to collect money from the creditor and will affect the company must cover the loss. I will talk about research objective have three. First is to identify influencing credit risk toward internal factors. And second is to identify influencing credit risk toward external factors. Third is to identify influencing credit risk toward internal and external factors. For the research question, first one is how is credit risk influenced by internal factors? Second is how the credit risk influenced by external factor. Third is how is the credit risk influenced by internal and external factor. Now we talk about literature review because our case is credit risk. So credit risk is occur when the borrower in a debt contract default and delay in repaying the debt either in whole or part. According to Anderson 2013, define the credit risk as the probability that a legally enforceable contract may become worthless or at least substantially reduced in value because the counterparty default and goes out of business. I will talk about methodology. I use three methods to analyze. First is data collection and sampling. Data collection from 5-year annual report, which is from 2015 until 2018. And the statistical technical are using SPSS to analyze, and also multiple linear regressive method to predict the relationship between the internal factor and external factor towards the credit risk. The data analysis is divided two parts, which is dependent variable and independent variable. Dependent variable is credit risk. However, the independent variable is internal factor, external factor, and internal and external factors. I will talk about SPAS result from the descriptive statistic. From this column, we can see mean. Mean meaning that is average during the 5 year of the dependent variable and independent variable. And standard deviation meaning that a volatile or fluctuation of the dependent or independent variable. If standard deviation is high, meaning that the volatile is also high and fluctuation high. If low, meaning that is low volatile. From this, we can see that we take average collection period as our example. From this figure we can indicate that during the 5 year the company average collection period is about 115 day in the 5 year average, and the standard deviation is 111 day, which is the high volatile among the others variable. Next, we will talk about the correlation table. From this column, we can see from this Hansen correlation indicate that whether the independent variable is a positive correlation or negative correlation. From our table, we can take the interest rate because it's more significant, but it's positive correlation, meaning that must decrease the interest rate will affect increase average correction period. This is a meaning that positive correlation. However, the negative correlation meaning that have negative relationship with a dependent variable. We can take example in inflation rate. uh, must increase the inflation rate will decrease the average correction period. This is the pension correlation indicate that. For the second part is significant part. From this column, we can see that whether is significant or not significant. For our case, we take the most significant is debt to income because it's 0.00, which is less than 0.05 is most significant. And the most not significant are 0.488 because it's higher than 0.1. Now we saw these three tables. First, we're talking about model summary table. We look at adjusted R square. In my case, adjusted R square is 1.0, meaning that the independent variable are able to expand about 100% to the dependent variable. In other words, is operating margin, ROE, and current ratio can influence more significant and influence the average correction period. And the second table we can solve from an ANOVA table is this column significant. From this column we can solve, in our case is 0.001, which is the most significant because it's lower than 0.05. From this coefficient table we can solve this column. In my case, all three independent variables are significant because less than 0.005, and additional is positive correlation to the dependent variable. Finally, we can talk about conclusion and recommendation. Uh, from SPL result show that the operating margin was the most significant and positive correlation to average correction period. And apart from that, also show operating margin are strong secondly, we know that strong correlation internal factors towards credit risk in terms. And recommendation is the competitive holding perhaps should decrease the operating to ensure that decline average time to collecting from the account receivable. Um, because the if the company will able to make the sales or increase the profit, then the company will able to make more credit to the will allow the credit more credit from the creditor, so that is not good for increase the operating margin. If increase the operating margin might be increase the cost of goods sold and also increase the sales, so that is not good for the company. So my recommendation, the company should focus on decreasing operating margin and more focus on internal factors because it's more influence the credit risk for the company. That's all for my presentation.